You, Rimi Faith, Masol Atidio.
Sounds like you're ready.
I am ready. Let's get rolling. Welcome to the vailychat podcast, everyone. It is Wednesday, May 13th, 2026.
And it is officially an absolute scorcher out there today.
I mean, it is just wild. We're looking at 87 degrees right now.
Yeah, it feels like an oven the second you walk outside.
It really does.
Yeah.
And with those intense fire warnings, I mean, it's just a lot converging on the valley all at once.
It's definitely aggressively challenging that whole, postcard illusion of mountain living today.
Oh, 100%. Which is why our mission today on this deep dive is to sort of pull back the curtain on all these mechanics. We've got a stack of fresh sources, alerts from the National Weather Service, real-time CDOT updates.
Some stuff from the Eagle County Newsroom archives, too.
Right, exactly. We're skipping the generic summaries to give you a clear, unvarnished picture of what's actually operating around you today.
Yeah, because keeping this valley running right now requires a staggering amount of hidden operational maneuvering.
It really does. So let's jump right into Act 1 here with a rundown. We're going to deliver a rapid-fire, 45-second professional summary of today's immediate logistical alerts.
Right, the stuff you need to know right now.
Exactly. So first up, warning for all you drivers out there, westbound I-70 is completely closed at Floyd Hill.
Yeah, it's basically a parking lot.
Totally. It's due to that massive bridge construction, so they are forcing a mandatory detour at exit 244.
Which is just a nightmare for traffic.
It's brutal. Then, compounding that, the National Weather Service has officially issued a critical fire weather warning.
And this is the big one, guys. We're talking about a really dangerous combination of 87-degree highs and 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts.
Just incredibly dangerous conditions. And finally, to cap off the rapid-fire rundown, a quick reminder for residents that the Holy Cross Energy election ballots are dropping in the mail and your email today.
Right, that's for the highly contested Northern District seat between Coleman and Sarah Smith-Himes.
Exactly. So that's your 45-second summary. But, I mean, we really need to unpack some of this before we move on.
Oh, absolutely. Because, there's always a temptation for newer residents to step outside today and think like, wow, what a beautiful hot spring day. Let's go hiking.
Right. But if you want an accurate mental model of the valley today, you have to think of a kiln.
A kiln, yeah. That's a great way to put it.
Because you have this intense, localized heat, and then you're introducing this 25-mile-per-hour forced air draft.
It's literally baking the forest into a tinderbox.
And our sources show this goes way deeper than just today's weather. The 2026 hydrological crisis has left the Colorado River Basin snowpack at, less than 50% of its historical median.
Well, and the deeper context there is even scarier. Earlier this spring, several localized basins were actually tracking at the 0th percentile for snow water equivalent.
Wait, 0th percentile? Does that mean literally zero snowpack, or is it just the lowest we've ever mathematically recorded?
It means it's the absolute historical bottom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In a normal year, we'd still have this significant snowpack acting as a slow release reservoir, keeping the high country soil moist well into June.
Right.
But we experienced the earliest mid-elevation meltout in recorded history back on March 31st.
So the soil isn't just dry, it has this severe ecological moisture deficit.
Exactly. The vegetation has been drawing from a depleted water table for over a month now. And from an operational standpoint, this changes literally everything about how local agencies protect the valley.
Right, because historically, wildland fire management was seasonal, right? You didn't really start worrying until late July.
Yeah, but now, the state is shifting to a year-round fire strategy. They're relying heavily on a doctrine called initial aggressive attack.
Which means basically hitting any ignition immediately.
Yeah.
You don't wait to see what the fire does.
Right. And this massive shift in strategy is happening right as we're seeing a major changing of the guard in local leadership.
Yeah. Vail Fire Chief Mark Novak is officially retiring this Friday, May 15th.
After an 11-year tenure here in Vail and, a 42-year career overall?
Yeah, 42 years. I mean, think about the technological leap over 4 decades.
Yeah.
He started when it was just fire lookouts and hand crews digging trenches.
And now he's stepping down when the strategy is driven by, software and aerospace technology.
Well, and our sources mention tools like FireGuard and those multi-mission aircraft. But let me push back on that for a second.
Sure.
Modeling software sounds great on paper.
Mm-hmm.
But how does an iPad app actually stop a crown fire from ripping through a dry forest?
Well, the software doesn't put out the fire. What it does is it buys the incident commander's time.
Okay, how so?
So these multi-mission aircraft fly at around 10,000 feet, right? They use highly sensitive infrared sensors that can pierce through thick smoke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they detect heat signatures as small as 6 inches across in the backcountry, and they beam those exact coordinates to the FireGuard software.
And then the software maps it.
Exactly. It takes the location, overlays it with really detailed topographical maps accounting for slope, the specific flammability of the vegetation, and it exactly where that fire will be in 2 hours based on today's winds.
So it tells the commanders precisely where to drop the fire retardant before the fire even reaches the ridge.
You hit the nail on the head. Because the fuels are so dry right now, you cannot afford to let an ignition transition into a crown fire.
Where it jumps from treetop to treetop.
Right, because once it reaches the canopy in 25-mile-per-hour winds, ground crews are completely powerless.
It's just a profound reminder of how the environment dictates our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it even ties back to that Cross energy election we mentioned in the rundown.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
Because I know if you're stuck on I-70 right now in that detour gridlock, baking in your car,
staring at the steering wheel.
right, a local energy board election probably feels totally disconnected from your immediate problem.
Yeah, how does the utility board fix my commute?
Well, they don't fix the bridge, but they dictate your resilience to the cascading effects of these extremes. Extreme heat and drought mean a high risk of wildfire.
Right.
If a fire threatens the transmission lines or the heat causes brownouts, the decisions made by the Holy Cross Board determine how quickly your power is restored.
I see the loop now. The highway is vulnerable to the fires, the power lines run along the highways, and the board manages the power line.
Exactly. Gridlock is visible, but grid governance is invisible and arguably more critical.
Which perfectly sets up Act 2, our main deep dive for today.
Yes, into the major community event happening right now.
The 24th Annual Ride in Remembrance.
Yeah, staging kicked off early this morning, right around 9:30 a.m. at Freedom Park in Edwards.
Right, and from there, this massive procession of motorcycles and community members is moving up to Vail for an 11:00 a.m. ceremony and lunch at the Donovan Pavilion.
It's such a dedicated, vital time to honor fallen first responders.
And the timing of this event, juxtaposed against these environmental extremes we just talked about, is incredibly poignant.
It really is. Sociologists talk about events like this building social capital.
Which is like the invisible glue of trust in a community, right?
Right, exactly. And right now, our first responders rely so heavily on that social capital because they are constantly operating in highly complex multi-hazard scenarios.
Multi-hazard meaning they are almost never dealing with just one isolated crisis at a time.
Never. Look at what they're doing down the corridor in Rifle today.
Oh, man. The asphalt tar spill.
Yeah. State health officials and CDOT are currently cleaning up a 6,000-gallon hot asphalt tar spill on Highway 6.
And this was from that massive collision, right?
Right. A violent collision between a luxury passenger train and an oil tanker truck. It derailed 6 passenger cars and 2 locomotives and completely ruptured the tanker.
6,000 gallons of hot asphalt tar spilling near the Colorado River. I mean, the mechanics of cleaning that up sound like an absolute nightmare.
It's a race against time and chemistry, honestly.
Yeah.
When hot asphalt tar hits the ground, it begins to cool and harden into this dense, toxic layer over the soil.
So they can't just, like, wash it away with a hose.
No, not at all. The hazmat teams have to literally excavate the contaminated earth.
Wow.
Yeah, and the immediate priority is ensuring it hasn't breached the river, which thankfully officials have confirmed it hasn't yet.
Thank goodness.
But now they're forced to heavily monitor the soil and install test wells just to make sure hydrocarbons don't slowly leach into the groundwater during the next rainstorm.
So zoom out and look at the functional demands placed on those incident commanders in Rifle today. They had to manage a mass transit derailment,
Triage potential injuries.
right, contain a massive hazmat spill, and execute highway traffic control all at the exact same time.
And they are doing all of this in a region facing critical fire danger.
With single-digit fuel moisture, the level of coordination and psychological focus required is staggering.
Which brings us right back to the Ride in Remembrance. They can only sustain that level of operational readiness if they know the community fundamentally values the risk they're taking.
Right. When hundreds of people show up in Vail today, it sends a tangible signal to those responders down in Rifles.
It replenishes their morale. The ceremony isn't just a nice, polite gesture, you know. It is a vital, functional component of a resilient emergency response system.
Absolutely. We demand that they manage the absolute worst moments of our physical infrastructure. And in return, we have to supply the emotional infrastructure to keep them going.
That's a great way to frame it. And part of that social contract, that trust, is the expectation that everyone in a position of power is operating with the highest standard of public service.
Which provides the perfect transition into Act 3 today. Let's execute a quick accountability update to wrap up the news.
Yeah, because we have a very different kind of event unfolding in the halls of power today.
We do. If you head over to the Eagle County District Court today, specifically, Courtroom 3 witness testimony is officially underway in the felony embezzlement trial of former Vail Town Councilman Greg Moffitt.
Right. And for anyone tracking the docket, this is Case 2024 CR 21.
Now, to understand the stakes of this trial, we need to look at the facts completely impartially. We're basing this strictly on the court documents and the historical context from the archives.
Exactly. We aren't taking sides here. The core of this criminal trial revolves around a long-standing dispute between the town of Vail and a private firm called Tiga Advertising.
Which was owned by Moffitt.
Right.
So to make the mechanics of this clear, let's upgrade the usual metaphors here. Instead of thinking of municipal funds as just a bank account, imagine municipal revenue sharing as a toll booth on a shared highway.
Okay, I like this.
The town allows a private operator to run the toll booth, in this case, managing advertising space on town buses. And everyone agrees the operator gets to keep a percentage of the revenue for their labor.
But the rest is supposed to go back into maintaining the highway.
Exactly. So what happens to the public trust when the town accuses the operator of pocketing unauthorized funds and letting the road degrade?
Well, the jury's being asked to weigh exactly that scenario. The town's position actually stems back to civil litigation initiated in 2019.
Right, this has been going on for a while.
Yeah. They claim that Tiga Advertising diverted municipal resources and failed to remit those revenue-sharing funds, which resulted in a debt to the town of about $88,000.
And in the previous civil judgments, the court found that this debt was valid.
They did.
But let me play devil's advocate for the defense here for a second.
Go for it.
$88,000 over a long-term advertising contract could just be the result of incredibly sloppy bookkeeping, right? Or a dispute over how the contract was worded.
Sure.
If this was just modified contracts and messy business practices, how does the prosecution justify escalating a civil debt into a criminal felony trial for embezzlement?
Well, the prosecution's burden is proving intent.
Okay.
They are arguing that this wasn't a contractual oversight. They're saying it was a deliberate, conscious embezzlement of public funds by an individual who understood exactly how municipal finance worked.
And the defense?
The defense has historically argued precisely what you just suggested, that the contracts were modified over time, that the town was aware of the changing terms, that these transactions are being taken out of context to build a criminal case.
So the witnesses taking the stand today in Courtroom 3 are tasked with pulling apart the granular mechanics of those agreements to prove state of mind.
Exactly.
So why is this particular trial catching so much attention? I mean, in a town with Vail's massive operating budget, an $88,000 dispute is practically a rounding error. It isn't bankrupting the municipality.
No, it's not about the dollar now. The dollar amount is secondary to the symbolism and the precedent.
How so?
This trial is objectively testing the transparency of mountain resort municipalities as a whole. For decades, there has been this perception, fair or unfair, of a good old boy network and high-altitude resort towns.
Right. The perception that a small group of people move fluidly between private development, advertising contracts, and public office.
Exactly. The perception that the people who approve the contracts are friends with the people who hold the contracts.
And that is what the trial is interrogating. Moffitt was a highly influential figure. I mean, his tenure included controversial votes, like the Booth Heights housing project, where conflicts of interest were frequently debated.
So this trial really represents a deep structural scrutiny of how private business interests and public fiduciary duty intersect.
It's putting the entire ecosystem of local governance on the stand. Whatever the jury decides, it's going to signal to residents exactly how the legal system views the management of public-private partnerships.
Absolutely. Both the prosecution's claims and the defense's perspective are vital parts of defining the boundaries of regional governance.
Well, we have covered an immense amount of ground today.
We really have. We started with the physical extremes, braving 87-degree critical fire weather and unpacking that 0th percentile snowpack.
Right, and how that forces a reliance on aerospace tech and year-round fire tactics.
We navigated the I-70 closures at Floyd Hill, connected that to the Holy Cross energy ballots dropping today.
Because energy governance dictates our resilience to the fires threatening the highway.
Exactly. We examined the functional necessity of social capital with the right and remembrance, contrasting that with the messy reality of the rifle tar spill.
And finally, we looked at the justice system tackling municipal accountability in the Moffat trial. It is all deeply interconnected.
It really is. How we govern our resources, support our frontline workers, and hold our leaders accountable dictates how well we survive the extremes of living at this altitude.
Which leaves us with one final provocative thought for you to chew on today. We've seen how rapidly the environment is changing, turning our spring days into literal tinderboxes.
And our infrastructure is definitely struggling to keep up.
Right. So given these massive compounding pressures, are the traditional ways we govern and manage these small mountain towns becoming obsolete?
That is a big question.
Is it time to design a completely new model of high-altitude living that matches the intensity of the environment?
I think that is undoubtedly the defining question of the decade for the Eagle River Valley.
I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you all for tuning in to this deep dive into the hidden forces shaping our community today.
Yes, thank you so much for listening.
Please be sure to like this episode, share it with your neighbors, and follow the vailychat page so you can stay ahead of Eagle Valley's news. Stay curious, stay informed, and please stay safe and hydrated out there in the heat. We'll catch you next time.